All right. Welcome back, future Matt. I've realized that while making these videos, I'm still thinking way too much about other people watching them as opposed to doing it exclusively for myself. So I'm going to try to turn that part of my brain off a little more this time around. Maybe this is a little high right now. Yeah, it's probably good. All right. I had a pretty, it was an okay day. When I find myself slowly getting back into a good routine, I can feel it coming. Even though I didn't actually get all that much done today, I can feel myself realigning back into a balance mentally. I don't know how else to explain it. What I did get done today was I looked into reaching out to some creators on Bilibili, Chinese creators, to see if I could expand my base there. And then I discovered that they generally don't list their emails and you can only DM them. And to DM them, you need a Bilibili account, which requires a Chinese phone number. So back to square one there. So then that got me thinking of looking at freelancers who can give you access to Chinese creators or message them on your behalf or something like that. And then, I don't know, the more I looked into it, the more it seemed like, maybe I should just really focus on my main content right now and not worry about spending any more money on promotional stuff. Just try to figure things out more on my own for now. Um, I also took a look at Telegram some more, and I joined like one channel and messaged some guy to see if they might be willing to post something about my game in Russian. I don't know if anything will come of that. We'll see. But I guess it was kind of obvious that if these were good avenues for promoting your game, everyone would already know about them. So no secrets unlocked here yet, unfortunately. But I was just now thinking about what I was going to be doing next. And I think one problem I've had is that I am too unfocused right now. I'm spreading myself thin too much. I am trying with, I mentioned before that I wanted to, that I have like a much bigger vision for my career than just making games, that I have a whole, it's like I want to sell myself, my whole personality as a brand. So that's why I've always been making these videos where there's all these comedy skits in them, and then I do these philosophical dialogues and all this different stuff. But it's spreading me too thin, I think. I think I'm trying to do too many things at once. I'm trying to be too much at once when I haven't established the main thing, which is supposed to be my source of income, which is, of course, the games. And so I think whether I like it or not, I really need to focus on that first. So I was thinking about what kind of promotional stuff to do because I was now going to, I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous video, but I posted about my game on the Lo-Fi Hip Hop subreddit, which is a pretty big subreddit, and a moderator there reached out to me, which was really nice of him and very cool, who suggested that he'd be willing to help me promote the game on there. And he suggested that I make something like a Samurai Champloo edit with my music over top of it to help promote it. And that's what I was looking at just now. And I was kind of skeptical of it because I've made videos like that before a few times on TikTok and they never performed very well. And when I think about it myself, I think about what sells a game to someone? Why do they play them? What is it that makes certain advertisements or just social media videos attractive? And I feel like the music isn't really it. Music is one of those things that's a background thing. Like you play the game first because you like the idea of the game, and then it's a bonus, a nice surprise that the soundtrack is also really killer. So I am very skeptical of the idea that I'd be able to hook anyone with that, especially on something like TikTok. I tried now so much to think about, if I am random average person watching this stuff, do I care about this? And I don't think anyone would care about that kind of thing. Unless maybe it's like a really, really cool edit, like a super professionally done and it just looks really awesome. And even then, I don't know if that would sell the game or if it would just do well on social media, which is not necessarily the same thing, right? You can make videos that pop off and do well, but people don't actually care about the game. The idea is to actually convert people to the game. So I'm really skeptical of that. But I do think it would make sense for the lo-fi hip hop subreddit, possibly, since that's actually specifically about music, and I might be able to convert some people there. So I do think he has a decent idea there, at least. So I am going to make one video of maybe a Samurai Champloo edit with some of my music over top to try to sell it for that and talk to him about it. If he's nice enough to help me with that. And sorry that I keep turning away and everything. I have a little acid reflux right now. Well, why am I even apologizing for that? This is for me, not for anyone else watching these videos. This is for future Matt. Okay, this is a diary entry. Would I be, if I was writing in my journal right now, would I be writing like, oh, sorry, dude, I'm feeling a little sick right now. Sorry for not writing as fast as I should. Anyway, so yeah, I was thinking that one thing about the lo fi hip hop subreddit. And then it got me thinking about, okay, I need to focus in on the game when I sell it. I've noticed that the promotional stuff I do that's really just focused on the game has been the stuff that performs the best. And here and there, occasionally, when I seem to hit just the right note, my videos do quite well. So I need to double down on that and figure out what works. And sure, introduce a little bit of my personality, of my creativity in that regard. But I think I need to really just like forget about the humor, forget about the philosophy. More than anything, what is the thing that makes me the most unique in terms of selling my game? And it got me thinking about my whole bigger picture of wanting to do something more significant with games, which is to, I think games have their origin more than anything in entertainment. I mean, fundamentally, originally, they really were children's toys, but it's developed a lot over time. But I don't think games have yet gotten to the point of being anywhere near as great as my favorite works of literature or the greatest works of film. And really, one of my biggest motivations is wanting to try to do something different with games to elevate them to that standard. Now, Six Samurai is not necessarily the game with which I'm trying to do that. It does have an artistic element to it, and there is something bigger I'm trying to do with the story that'll become, hopefully, a lot more obvious much later in development. It's not really going to be that obvious in the demo because I'm just kind of setting things up. But anyway, that's the bigger vision I have, which I think is something that's actually on a lot of people's minds, but you don't really hear developers talk about it too much. And I also think it's a very unique challenge because I think there is something really tricky about trying to take the main aspect of gaming, which is interactivity, and making that engaging and taking advantage of that while at the same time being able to present something more profound, something that makes you feel something much deeper in the way how relating to a character in a book does, or something like that. And I find that it's really really hard to pull that off with gameplay mechanics, especially because it's so hard to even write stories that don't push the limit of believability all the time. You know what I mean? Like how in video games, like one of the most common things of you want to make something fun, you add killing. But it's hard to make a realistic, relatable story where you're like killing a million people and then you know what I mean? Especially when you're like killing a ton of people and then it's like, oh, now you must make a moral decision. So I'm trying to avoid that in the story for how I've written my game. I've tried to write Six Samurai in such a way where the violence is just sort of an accepted part of the culture and the world that they live in. And so there aren't going to be any moral decisions that are going to try to make it seem like you're, I don't know, concerned with the morality of killing necessarily. Um, I guess now that I think about it, there's one part in the game that's kind of like that, but I don't think it's too bad. In any case, my point is it's a really hard challenge. Six Samurais, or the idea for that came more so from having to establish myself business wise more than anything. It's I really like it's a game I wanted to play and I really love the idea and I'm enjoying making it. But it wasn't part of my original vision of like the different weirder things I want to try to do with games. This is more so my like I needed to make something that I know can actually sell and get my name out there and prove myself and get my footing and all that. Um, but nonetheless, I do still want to test some of these ideas in the way that I end up writing the game and the kinds of decisions you have to, or at least one decision anyway, that you have to make in it. No spoilers. So, promotionally, that got me thinking that maybe that's my edge. And what I should really do is try to make some nicely edited videos, which shouldn't be too hard because by videos, I'm not talking YouTube. I'm thinking like TikTok style, less than a minute, maybe even 30 seconds, 30, 45-second videos that since they're so short, I can edit them really in a really nice way, do some creative stuff, and specifically dive into my deeper thoughts about trying to turn games into this more artistic. I don't want to say as if games aren't artistic. Obviously, they are, but whatever. Future me knows what I'm talking about. um, Something more meaningful, something deeper than just entertainment, and how I'm relating that to how I'm making this game. And just in general, also maybe telling my story of like how I got into making games myself and the risk I'm taking with doing all of this, and kind of like more specifically owning in on my journey and the way in which I think of games and what I'm trying to do, and then how I came up with each of the different elements of Six Samurai specifically. And so it's nothing like super original, except for just maybe my overall motivation that I was talking about. But I think if I can find a way to, in a very interesting storytelling, well edited way, make videos about that kind of stuff, I think maybe that can be my thing. And that way I'm focusing specifically on game development, specifically on selling the game, and I have kind of my unique twist on it that hopefully people will find interesting. So that's my new promotional plan for now. And this way I will cut out all the focus on the comedy skits and the humor and the philosophy stuff and whatever for now, and instead focus it all in on, insofar as I have any humor or philosophy or whatever, it will all be ultra focused in on just the selling of the game for now. So I think it's a pretty good plan. I have a feeling this can work, and it feels to me like that's something that will appeal to people. I just have to, I think, experiment with it, and I can probably figure it out. I feel like I'm feeling confident about this, and it's a fresh idea. And then later on, if the game is successful, okay, then I can take some time off and maybe make as a side hobby, maybe some separate channel for my comedy skits and stuff like that as an outlet for that. And in the meantime, making these little videos here, even though they're not really artistic and I'm not editing these or putting any actual forethought into them, it's my outlet for saying whatever I want, right? So if I've got some twisted joke on mine that I've got to get off my chest, maybe I'll just make it here and leave it at that. So yeah, looking forward to that. So tomorrow I'm gonna try to make that Samurai Champloo edit for the lo-fi thing, and then start coming up with ideas on how I'm gonna start my first experiment with like one of these. Maybe I'll start with like an introduce myself. Here's what I'm trying to do. Here's where I'm from type of video. Do like a whole series and start with that on TikTok and see how it goes. Hopefully, have that done by the end of the week, and then get back to working on the game. I also had I noticed a few people. Oh, I did actually a couple other things I wanted to mention. I forgot to mention yesterday that I also submitted the game to this Japanese Twitter account. It's actually a company, I think, that does some kind of PR work for getting English language indie games or like from the Western world more popular in Japan. So you can submit your game to them, and if they find it interesting enough for free, they'll post about it on their Twitter account. So it's a potentially easy way to get some exposure in Japan if they decide that they think your thing is cool enough or appealing to them. We'll see if anything comes of that. And yeah, and then when I was looking at the marketing stuff just now, when I was thinking about these promotional videos, I was looking at a marketing agency type of company too to see if they might be able to help me to come up with ideas or a campaign. But I don't know. I emailed them, they responded, and they wanted to set up a call and stuff. But then soon after, I was like, nah, I don't think I want to spend money on this right now at all. I think I really, really want to figure this out on my own. I know I can do it. I know I can do it. I've got it in me. I just got to figure it out. I just got to find that one little niche, and I think I'm closing in on it now. And if I can nail it, I think I can pull it off. I think I can blow up. Um, yeah, that's for my personal life right now. Well, not really that personal, but just my day to day. Social media use was pretty bad today. But that's okay. I still, like I said, I still somehow feel like I am getting back on track though. I'm feeling like I'm in a healthier mindset. And one thing I was thinking about that I would like to focus on more than anything is my tendency for allowing people to get under my skin very easily. I'm sure this is pretty normal experience, but anytime you're on social media and you just read people's dumbass comments and stuff and it pisses you off. I know that's a very common experience, but I get way too rattled by that shit. And it's not just that or internet stuff. Even in real life, I find like even people I grew up with know that it's kind of easy to get under my skin by intentionally saying stupid things. I just like it's just a thing with me. I just get like really annoyed by it. So it's something I want to make a conscious effort of being more less triggered by that. Is I think is what I would say. I want to be able to be more. I made a video a while back about how I shifted my view of the world from one that's more about taking not that it's not about taking responsibility, but that's more about free will and making choices to a new point of view that's much more deterministic in how I see the world. More specifically, of being less angry with people for making the wrong choices and instead seeing things as being the way that they are because that's just how it's supposed to be based on the laws of the universe. Almost like a very Buddhist way of looking at things, right? Like things are exactly as they should be. Because I feel like that mindset helps me to deal with people a lot better rather than getting angry when someone does something stupid or even something malicious towards me, understanding it as they can't help themselves. Not as if they literally can't help themselves, as if I can't like try to help them to not be a dick, but but that they can't help themselves as in like whatever happened, it had to happen for whatever reason. And to not as much as possible let that get under my skin, instead try to understand why it happened and deal with it from that perspective instead. I think mentally that that is a much better way of reasoning things for me to help me get over that weakness of letting people get under my skin so easily and letting things upset me too much. And I wanted to briefly mention too, this is one of those things where even talking about this, I feel like I'm mentioning this more so because I'm thinking of people watching this as opposed to a as a diary for myself because I know this about myself. But when I read negative comments on my videos or anything that I get, I have I think it's worth talking about just because I find it kind of funny because I don't know how much I see other people having this kind of reaction. But basically, I notice a lot how when developers get negative comments or people in general, and then sometimes you'll even see creators, they'll get overwhelmed and maybe they make a video saying, I need to take a break from social media because it really gets to me and all the negative comments. But for me, when I read negative comments, I either don't care at all if it's just Like if someone comes in and they just subjectively are like, I don't like your game or or something like that, I don't care at all. That doesn't remotely bother me. But if someone comes in and they say something negative that's factually incorrect or based on something that's factually incorrect, I get so mad. And like, you see what I mean? Like, I get mad because of the fact that they're wrong and not because they're even saying anything negative. And I get mad in a way that's like, and this is the thing, like, it doesn't upset me, it doesn't make me sad, it never demotivates me. I'm never kind of like crying to myself about it and being like, oh no, I don't feel like doing anything. I just get angry and like I want to smack them in the fucking face. You know, that's what my reaction is. My reaction is, I pretty much have never replied to any negative comments because I know it's just always a waste of my time um and not worth it. And also I think about not wanting to come off as too unprofessional. I don't know how much I should even worry about that considering the kinds of videos and stuff I've already made. but but still, I try. I guess it's for the best to not look as though I let things get under my skin. But if I was totally unhinged, if I just had like zero self control, my instinct when I see a negative comment on my videos, like specifically the ones I was talking about, where they just say something fucking stupid about the game that's just wrong, is like, I would just be like, yo, your mother's a whore, basically. Like, I would just leave just fucking brutal comments in response, you know? Like, oh, you don't like my game? Well, how about you go fuck yourself? How does that sound? So, anyway, yeah, and not only does it not upset me, it gets me like, I get mad or whatever, and I want to talk a bunch of shit, but but it doesn't upset me. But not only does it not upset me, I actually find it motivates me. Ironically, like when I get pissed off like that, and I'm so fucking mad that someone said some stupid shit on one of my videos, I operate on spite. Like I want to, it makes me extra want to go finish my game so that I can rub it in their face when it's done and it's awesome, you know? I get motivation no matter what. If people are positive, then that gives me extra energy to work on the game and it makes me happy and I feel satisfied and proud of myself. But also when people talk a bunch of shit, I'm like, oh yeah, you think my game sucks? Well, I'm gonna make it good and then you can suck my fucking balls. How about that? I've actually like fantasized about finishing the game and then the game's like really fucking awesome and I come back and make one long YouTube video where I just quote every single negative comment anyone left over the entire time I was developing it and be like, yeah, how do you like that, bitch? How about that? You want to talk shit now? I know it'd be super petty and childish, but if there was one thing I allowed myself to do, if I were to not have any restraint or thinking about the future, that's the one thing I would do. Just the most petty video where I just talk nonstop shit about about anyone who ever left a negative comment for like 30 minutes straight. But anyway, as you can see, this is why I would like to adopt always the mentality of people are what they are. And while they can change, things happen for a reason, to allow myself to not let it get under my skin and just chill out, you know? Because it would be a real shame if if anyone ever managed to get under my skin sufficiently that I actually end up responding and saying a bunch of really mean shit to them. I mean, not that I would care, but you never know. Could get me in trouble somehow. I think that's all I got for tonight. I think I'm gonna get to bed a little earlier. It's for once at least not past midnight. It's probably past midnight now, but I started this video before it was past midnight, so that's an improvement.